Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aiman Syabir Abdul Khalif and my metric number is A19A0022.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Arif bin Ahmad Sujaini. My number metric is A19A0333.
Assalamualaikum and Hi. My name is Nur Amna binti Muhammad Noor. My metric number is A19A0522.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Noridani binti Muhammad Salam. My metric number is AY9A0608.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Soliha binti Abdul Halim Koh. My metric number is A19A0617.
I will present the introductions. Islamic banking was officially implemented in Malaysia in 1983 based on Shariah Principle. A Bank Negara Malaysia Shariah Advisory Council have also governed the late payment penalties issues. It is permitted to impose garama and ta'wid through a Shariah Advisory Council if the evaluation factors listed are met. Ta'wid can be used with deal with late payments of financial commitments arising from financial institutions such as sale and leases for beginner. Garama as a punishment imposed for failing to pay a debt on time without proving actual loss. The recommendation specifies that the rate of ta'wid imposed is not more than 1% per annum of deferred installment in the event of a loss on scheduled repayments or even in the remaining balance in the event of loss. The value of garama does not want to correspond to the overall loss. The regulations provided that the total late payments cost of garama and ta'wid cannot surpass a certain amount. Al-Malik goes on to say that Ibn Taymiyyah supports financial penalties for borrowers who deliberately postpone payments, classifying them as bodily punishment in accordance to Prophet Muhammad SAW hadith. As shown in the Learned Council, financial institutions certainly didn't ask for a comment of this trait. Monetary punishment in the initial period that they are losing money as a result of this.
We present about the operation and suggestion of late payment charge according to Shariah Principle. Operation and legality of late payment charge according to Shariah Principle. International Banking Institute ensuring that the late payment penalties are applied solely on willful defaulters. The International Banking Institute is expected to establish and implement clear regulation and process to ensure that the defaulters who are in financial distress receive the attention they need. Next, late payment penalties will be assessed on a daily basis. Lastly, the customer must be notified about any changes in charge at least 3 weeks before the written notice, according to the International Banking Institute.
Today, I want to explain about the dalil and the legality of the late payment charge according to Shariah Principle. According to Shariah Principle, there are various dalil and hadiths that explain late payment penalties. Syekh Taqi Uthmani felt that the late payment costs are not permitted based on the hadith below. La yul wajidil uhillu huru basa ma'ildah. The meaning of the above hadith is the delay in paying debt by the rich who has the money means dishonoring and punishing him permissibly. In addition, the court must assess the severity of the sentence and all penalties or fine must be paid to the government for social welfare purpose. This disputed hadith may not be very practical in the present system of the government, particularly the modern Islamic banking system that has been operating for some time. Furthermore, the Syekh Taqi Uthmani had submitted a purpose to oppose the late payment charge based on the law given by another fuqaha and the dalil states, La darara wa la dhira. The meaning of the above the dalil is not harm and reciprocation of the harms. While it's difficult to refute the one cannot damage another, Sheikh Taqi Uthmani maintained the monetary fines are not required to alleviate the injury. It is the harm that a person causes when other is not paid within the agreement upon time limit. As a result, paying him the whole amount only, plus interest, is the best way to put end to this behavior. According to Sheikh Taqi Uthmani, any addition to charge imposed will be considered riba.
The processing fee can be defined as one of the additional charge that will be imposed on the customer in each transaction carried out. The customer will be given the option to create an installment payment plan offered by the seller or service provider to the customer after the purchase is made. Seen from the point of view of Islamic finance, the processing fee incurred by the service provider or seller are seen to lead it toward the element of riba. The third is to abuse the principle of gharamah. Gharamah can be defined as one of the methods of fine for fines imposed when in excess of the amount of ta'wid that has been imposed on a customer who does not comply with the condition as agreed in the debt payment process. Therefore, gharamah should not be considered as one of the income banned, and also the proceeds from the gharamah should be channeled to charitable parties that get approval from the Shariah Committee. However, most banks have adopted this concept where each payment imposes a charge on the payment of the debt by the customer. The last is the issue of late payment. This is said to be so because the charge imposed on the customer have a clear element of riba. Any debt attached to the payment may fall into the category as riba al-qad, as already explained. For example, there are two methods in online purchase, namely the one-time payment method and the installment payment method. For the one-time payment method, if the customer is late in settling the payment and is charged at an excessive rate, there is an element of riba. While the installment payment method, late payment charge imposed in excess of operating costs and actual loss are part of the riba element.
Okay, now I will explain about the charge imposed must coincide with the actual cost. Charge should be based on the direct cost rather than indirect costs such as staff salary and office rate. The fee cannot be calculated as a percentage of the total loan amount. Instead, it should adhere to the actual rate of the management costs with no adjustment. If it is difficult to set a definite amount until after the account closes at the end of the years, it may be the charge in the form of the estimate. If the exact amount is none, its surplus must be returned to the adapter in accordance with the mutually negotiated manner.
Next, suggestion of late payment charge according to Shariah Principle. Using punishment as a means of mitigating or deterring loan repayment default is an Islamic technique of doing so. Muslim jurists justify imposing a late payment penalties by asserting usurpation. Lastly, other forms of punishment, including jail, are all available in the event of despotic act. Lashing, jail, or a monetary fine are all possible penalties. The most frequently used type of punishment is a monetary penalty, including destruction, enhancement, compensation, and
Another
fines.
suggestion of late payment charge is preemptive investigation. The most effective method is to do preemptive research to guarantee that the clients who will be entering into a contract have strong credit scores and the ability to repay their debts. As a result, early detection and prevention can help to avoid the occurrence of problems in the future. The banks will focus on strategies to ensure that the penalty charge is not excessive. Another suggestion is the gharamah shall be channeled to charitable organizations approved by the IB's Shariah Committee. The next suggestion is the gharama shall be channeled to charitable organizations approved by the IB's Shariah Committee. In order to ensure appropriate administration and governance of the accounts, the IBs are needed to keep a separate gharama accounts from Ta'wid. This will enable for more efficient control and recognition of the source of gharama as well as its proper utilization for charitable distribution organizations. The Shariah Committee of the individual IBs is expected to execute its supervision responsibility in order to guarantee that gharama is properly managed, allocated, and distributed to approved charitable organizations on a timely basis.
Lastly, I will present the conclusion. Islamic banking regulations allow Islamic banks to levy penalties, fees on customers who miss their payments. The Shariah Committee of Islamic Bank adopts a rigorous approach to ensure compliance with B&M Islamic Finance Shariah resolutions to avoid the possibility of being exploited. The issue of the punishment of default in financing and postponing capital that has reached maturity in the hands of those who must restore it to its owner is included in the penalty of ta'zir according to Islamic jurists.